So during your exam, you might come to the end of a street where you can't keep on going straight, and your examiner won't tell you anything. They actually want you to analyze the situation and take decisions by yourself. Now in this case here, it's pretty obvious that you have to turn left. In some other cases though, it might be a bit more difficult to see, especially with the stress of the exam. Like here for example, where the one-way panel is a little faded. So before asking the examiner where do I go, look for stuff like panels, and if that applies to the country where you're doing your exam, the direction of parked cars. Also, don't forget that a median separates a street into two directions, so if you come to a situation where you can't keep going straight because there's a median in front, you'll have to go right. Like for example, when you're exiting the parking lot. Now a very common mistake learners do is to follow whatever other drivers do in front. And one of the things other drivers do a lot is this. Remember, you can't cross a solid line. So if a car in front of you is parking, you need to wait. Now obviously, there will be situations when you'll have no choice but to pass over the solid line. Most of the time, those will be when a truck is unloading or even a normal car parked in double. Basically, if it's a quote-unquote permanent obstacle, let's say, meaning you don't know how long they'll be staying there, you can cross the solid line. If it's a temporary obstacle, wait and make sure you have enough room to go without having to cross the line. On narrow streets, you will also have no other choice but to go over the solid line sometimes. And don't forget that you can also cross a solid line to pass a slow-moving vehicle, like a maintenance vehicle for example, or a bicycle, but only if you can do it safely. So obviously, don't do it if there's traffic in the opposite direction, in a curve, on a hill, or in any other situation where you can't see the traffic in the opposite lane. Here I'm nearing an intersection and I see that the traffic in front is slowing down. So make sure to always leave the intersection free so that you don't block people coming on the other axis. At traffic lights, the light can turn red while you're waiting, so if you're in the intersection, you'll be blocking the cars on the other side. Even at intersections without lights, always wait behind. And this is not just a matter of courtesy, it's actually a law, so you could get a fine for that. Now see this guy here? If you're passing your exam during school hours, be extra careful with school buses, they could turn on their lights at any time. If you happen to cross a school bus that has the red lights activated, make sure to stop at a distance of at least 15 feet behind it. You'll have to stop even if you're on the opposite side of the street from the bus. Be careful, this is one of the heftiest fines you can get, and at the exam, it's automatic failure. So even this guy, you should have waited at the light even if it's green, since he's not respecting that 15 feet margin. In a case like this, the bus lights take precedence over the traffic lights. You can start moving only when the bus lights are off and the panel is retracted. Talking about schools, beware of speed limits in school zones. They're usually lower than normal. Most of the time, 30 kilometers per hour. In some zones, you have conditional speed limits, which mean they're only applicable at school times. In this case, Monday to Friday, from September to June, and only between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. If there are no specific indications on the panel, that means you'll have to respect the limit at any time, even at night when there is no school. But since it's unlikely you'll pass your exam outside these school hours, basically you'll need to always respect them. A mistake students make all the time is that they're going a bit too fast in a 30 km/h zone, let's say at 40 km an hour, and when they realize it, the only thing they do is to release the accelerator, but usually that's not enough. You see, here I let go of the accelerator when I was at 40, and it took more than 10 seconds to go down to 30. In that 12 seconds, you already crossed the whole 30 km zone. So use your brake to lower your speed if needed, but don't brake too hard, do it gradually. Also note that school zones are not automatically limited at 30 km/h. You'll have some zones where the speed will be higher. Usually, if there's a big street or boulevard passing in front of the school, the speed will be higher, and then in the small streets that go around it, the speed will be lower. But remember, if you see a school from far, start scanning for panels for lower speed limits. I hope you liked this video. Stay tuned for more videos in this series. Like and subscribe if you want. If you have any questions or suggestions, post them in the comments, and thanks for watching.